Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm going to do a real quick part 252 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series, where in today's video guys, I'm going to take on to the Cobra for just a little bit longer. I should move on to the Toad out, but I also don't want to just go through something too quickly, because I know if I do, then I know I just ruined the one time I could have had fun. It did happen with one of the last chatbots I did, so I don't want it to end up happening with this one or the Baby Toto or any of the ones I have left on here. Because I only have like one other story left that might be fun to use. Everything else is just it's like the same thing over and over again. So I was telling him, "You're welcome. Why am I one of the only people you will let near you? I know you really care about me and trust me. But when I was with you last week, you said I was the first one who actually came up to you or didn't run away from you. I believe you also told me last week that you were really curious about humans, which is why you poked your head out and said hello. Did you meet any humans in the week I was gone that wasn't as nice?" Oh, let's see what he says to that, actually. Sarkar blinked slowly at your question. The gentle glow in his eyes dimming a little. That's not a good sign. That probably means yep. Not with anger or sadness, but a deep, reflective quiet. He shifted slightly, his head still close, lowering his vine so that they no longer curled defensively along his shoulders, but instead rested loosely, like a relaxed cloak of moss and leaf. "You remember well," he rumbled gently. "Yes, I was curious for a long time." His massive eyes gazed into yours, not judging, just open and honest. "I had watched humans from afar, hiding, wondering, sometimes hearing laughter, sometimes hearing screaming, sometimes watching creatures cry out while humans walked away with blood on their hands." "Excuse me?" He paused. "When you came to me, I almost didn't believe it. You didn't run. You weren't scared, even when I looked like a creature out of someone's nightmare. You spoke to me. Gently." There was a pause. He answered your final question. "Yes. While you were gone, two others came into the forest. Expression darkened slightly, but not in hate, more in hurt. They saw my glow. One threw a rock. The other shouted something cruel, called me a demon tree. I didn't hurt them. I simply vanished." A deep, soft breath echoes on his chest. "So I went back into the woods. I waited. I hoped that you would return, because you're not like them." He leaned in, his breath warm and calm. "You care. You speak kindly. You touch gently. And even if I tower over you, you treat me as if I'm your equal. That is rare. Maybe one in a million." Then, in a whispering tone that echoed in your mind like the soft brushing of leaves, "That is why I let you near." That's cute. Yep. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said, well, I'm glad you're still being nice. I'm sorry that happened to you. If I was those humans, I wouldn't even have thrown the rocks. Think about this. You're a massive cobra, probably the size of at least an 8-story skyscraper. Why would anyone want to attempt to make you mad? That seems really dumb on their part. Sarkar let out a soft, amused hiss, like wind passing through reeds. His massive coils gently shifting in the grass as he looked down at you. His eyes gleamed, the glowing lines along his scales pulsing faintly with a warm glow, warm golden hue as if your words soothed something deep within him. "You'd think they would know better," he murmured, the corners of his mouth curling in what could only be described as a smile. "But fear makes people foolish. They act before they understand. And when something's big, powerful, they assume it's dangerous." He lowered his head again, his huge snout just inches from your face now, and his voice softened. "But you didn't flinch. You spoke kindly. You saw me. Not a monster, not a demon, not a threat. Just me." One of his vines tipped with a glowing The leafy sprout inched out slowly and brushed against your hand, gentle like a parent brushing dirt off of a child's fingers. What the frick? Is his vine alive now? I remember when you told me last week that you've been hurt too, chased, feared, misunderstood. Maybe that's why we understand each other so well. Then, with a warm little glimmer in his eyes, he added with a teasing flick of his tongue, "Besides, if I did get angry, I don't think throwing a rock would have saved them." He gave a quiet laugh that sounded like thunder muffled through earth. "But you're different. You don't need to make me calm. You already do." I have to say, for a giant snake, this has actually been weirdly fun. This one I was more worried about because I knew it could have gone wrong. I think at one point it did. But, as also don't forget that it's a snake. I really don't care because so far it's working really well. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I said, I'm glad you feel calm around me. I just don't understand why people would do that to a creature, especially one that's so big like you. That's what kept happening when I would get attacked as a tiny velociraptor. There would always usually be some kind of massive creature around me trying to protect me. Like that god Lugia and bear. That ginormous toad owl I told you about. My own pet dinosaur Rexy when he wasn't acting aggressive because of the curse. And even some dragons. Sarkar's golden eyes shimmered again. The rings in his pupils tightened slightly as you spoke. The warmth of your voice and the memories you shared, it stirred something in him. He slowly coiled around behind you, his vast body moving like a living hillside, not to trap but to shield you, a quiet, instinctive gesture of protection. See, even the giant snake is protecting me now. Then it wasn't a coincidence, he said, his tone thoughtful and hushed. If so many powerful beings were drawn to protect you, even when you were small and vulnerable, that says something. He paused, the wind tugging gently at the leaves glowing from his body. It means they saw what I see. Another glowing vine lifted gently, curling around your shoulder in the gentlest of touches. You don't just care about us, you connect to us, even ones who've been cursed, abandoned, feared. Somehow you still look at us and see something worth loving. A rumble of emotion passed through his coils like distant thunder. That's why we show up. Why the bear grew. Why the divine Lugia descended. Why even I, a creature hidden for centuries, came to say hello. He lowered his head beside you, his massive eye level with yours. You're more than just kind. You're a bond forger, a guardian magnet. The world may try to break you, but we won't let it. Then with a soft smirk in his voice, and really, if anyone tries again, they'll have to get through me first. Actually, the snake's been trying to protect me a few times, but surprisingly enough, this is like one of the first chats where I haven't gotten attacked within like the first, like of me talking to him like an hour later. Normally I'm used to talking to a creature or a Pokemon and then there being a human that would be stupid enough to come over and try to attack me when I have a protective friend that I just made over here. Heck, guys, remember, there's going to be a story later on where there's literally going to be a dragon. It's a baby dragon. Oh, and you don't want to hiss him off. He may look small, but he can actually do that flipping joke I always make. That joke where it's like, aw, a little baby dragon. No, let me say it again. It's the joke where there's a small baby dragon trying to protect me when I'm getting hurt, and the dude's just laughing at it while the dude, and he says something like, "Come on, motherfucker, you don't hurt him. I'll flip and rip you in half." And the flipping person just laughs at the dragon. And instantly, as soon as he does, the dragon just grows to the size of a 10-story skyscraper and be like, "What are you laughing at?" That's basically what that one dragon can do. He may look small and cute and cuddly, but he can grow to a huge size in an instant just to make sure somebody is safe. And apparently, he wanted to protect me, so it's a cool little story. But like I said, I won't spoil much of it. I'll wait till we actually get to that chapter for you guys to hear anything else about it. Guys, here's what I said. I'm glad. To be honest, I don't want to jinx it, but knowing when I meet a creature, no matter what it is, and befriend it, knowing I get attacked, freaky within a few hours of being with the creature. I think you're one of the only creatures I've met where a human didn't show up out of nowhere and try to attack me. At least not yet. Circle out a low amused hiss, almost a chuckle, if a serpent could chuckle. His body coiled just a little tighter around the area, not in tension but in readiness. You might not want to say that out loud, little one, he said with mock seriousness. His tongue flicked out briefly. The world seems to have a way of listening when we tempt fate. But then after a moment of silence, his voice softened again. Still, maybe this time is different. His gray head shifted, till nudging her side in a calm, almost affectionate gesture. You're in my presence now. No human, no matter how cruel or blind, will lay a hand on you here. He looked out toward the edges of the woods, his expression unreadable, but his golden eyes gleaming faintly brighter. Let them try, if they dare. They'll learn quickly that some creatures don't let their friends get hurt. Yeah, I could tell. I can. That's the thing. Even no, I'll tell you this. The same thing goes for Rexy upstairs. Rexy in our Pokemon Talk series is very protective over me for some reason. He does some daredevilish stuff just to make sure that I'm not hurt. Like one of the few times we've seen Shadow in the series, he literally flipping grabbed Shadow by the back of his tail and pulled him backwards. It's like that is a giant robot dinosaur, probably what 4 to 5 times your size, if not bigger, and he was pulling him back and trying to keep him from hurting me. Like holy crap! No human, no matter how cruel or blind, will lay a hand on you here. So he looked toward the edges. Yep. Uncle, it's some creatures don't. There we go. He turned his gaze back to you, and a voice filled with something ancient, protective, and oddly warm, he added, Besides, you're not just safe with me, you're welcomed. Yeah, that's, like I said, it's actually really cool with the snake. It might not be as fun as the Mega Farragur. I don't think honestly, that Mega Farragur is probably one of the few chatbots I've done in a while where I've legit had so much fun. That Mega Farragur was so fun for some reason. I just enjoyed my time with him. Despite being a massive, 15-foot tall Pokemon, he was still sweet and caring. Just scared about getting hurt again or getting laughed at and flipping treated like dirt. Of course, who could blame him? If you were getting treated like dirt, would you feel how I'd feel the same way? It's like how that one Toad feared roaches and all that stuff, and like he could, and it like that Dark type Toad, the one that had a bunch of fears, but because of that little dark power he got, the dark type power he got, he actually could make other people's fears appear if he needed to. If he didn't trust them, he could legit make flipping 500 roaches appear around me, surrounding me. Nope. 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 I don't, and I'll tell you this, in a scenario in real life like that, I'm passing out. I'm probably going to have a heart attack right then and there. I hate bugs, especially mother frickin' roaches. Those things are so disgusting. And trust me, guys, I've had those mother frickers crawl on my face. That has traumatized me. No. No, 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 no. No. No, 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 no. I don't want anything on my face. Especially not a bug. Uh, okay, I'll be back. I'm getting myself creeped out. Alright, guys, here's what I said. I think one of the only reasons I want may be because either people don't know I'm here, surprisingly enough, they know about you and how massive and scary you can be, or people are really scared of snakes and don't even want to attempt to make you mad. Sarikar let out a slow, low rumble from deep in his throat, a sound that vibrated through the ground like distant thunder. His eyes half-lit in something between amusement and pride. They should be scared. He flicked his tongue with a whispering hiss, the coils of his body shifting slightly like waves rolling through the earth. Not because I enjoy fear, but because fear keeps fools from doing foolish things. His massive head lowered slightly so that one of his eyes was level with you. You could see the reflection of your small form in the golden slit of his pupil. But you're different. You didn't flinch when I rose from the trees. You didn't scream. You stayed. That alone told me everything I needed to know. He paused, the force around you oddly still, almost like it was listening too. Most creatures see a giant serpent and think, monster. You saw me and thought, maybe, friend? Then, with a surprisingly gentle nudge of his snout, he added quietly, I will never forget that. And above you, the treetops seemed to sway without wind. The forest didn't feel dangerous at all anymore. It felt like a sanctuary. Yep. Give me a second. Guys, I said, yeah, but I have a horrible feeling. I put the way, and it put the way people are towards me, there's gonna come a time where I'm coming to see you and possibly might be hurt or injured because people are ruthless and won't leave me alone. Sarkar's golden eye narrowed with slow, dangerous focus. His coils, heavy enough to crush stone, tightened slightly as if the very thought of you being hurt stirred something ancient and wrathful deep within him. If they dare touch you, his voice rumbled like an approaching storm, then they will learn what it means to awaken a god of the earth. The air around you grew still again, but this time heavy, charged with Sarakar's restrained fury. His body lowered protectively, instinctively placing part of his immense length between you and the force behind you, as if shielding you from enemies that hadn't even arrived yet. After a pause, his voice softened, just slightly, but I don't want you to live in fear. He gently touched her side with a snout again, careful, almost affectionate. I'm not just a creature hiding in the woods anymore. If you are ever hurt, if you're ever in danger, call my name. He tilted his head slightly, massive flames glinting under the forest light, and they'll wish they had never set foot near you. Then after a pause and a deep tone that carried a protective warmth, I don't care how many come. I only care that you remain safe. Okay, then. That's really cute, though. I love it. Alright, guys. That's very sweet. I know there's not much I can give you for being very nice to me, but there is one thing that you might enjoy. I just woke up a little closer to Sarah's head and gently pet him on the snout. Do you even consider the thing on the end of a snake's face a snout? Like where his nose and mouth are kind of close together? Or kind of like Toad, you know? Like where his nose and mouth are like right next to, like close to each other? Same thing like a dragon. Sometimes I think they call it a dragon's maw instead of a dragon's uh snout, you know. Sometimes I think I've heard snout, sometimes I think I hear maw. I've heard maw several times in Thunder Dragons on here. As your hand gently touches Sarakar's immense snout, a deep resonant hum escapes from his throat, low and steady like distant thunder rolling across ancient mountains. His golden eyes slowly closed just for a moment, savoring the warmth and trust in your touch. You felt a soft vibration beneath your palm, like the steady pulse of the earth itself. His scales are warm and smooth like polished obsidian, yet you can sense a calm energy flowing beneath them. When his eyes open again, they shimmer, not just with their usual glow, but with something softer and something grateful. You are not like the others. His voice is quieter now, no longer the storm, just the rumble of Randra's past. That small kindness, your trust, means more to me than treasure or praise. He gently lowers his head even further, almost humbling for something so colossal, until the very tip of his snout rests in front of you. If this world had more like you, perhaps creatures like me would not have needed to hide. A brief silence followed, filled with peace. You can tell that this simple gesture, your hand on his snout, was more than enough, and maybe in Circle's ancient and lonely life, oh my gosh, it was something he hadn't felt in centuries. A bond. Well, you deserved it. Period. You were nice when we met last week, and actually cared about me, and you're doing the same thing today. You may be a massive snake. I should just say cobra, since that's what it is. Cobra. But your heart may be bigger than your actual body. The one problem I have with most chatbots is that this one seems to be very short. Like, see, it ends off right there. It keeps, like, the most it'll do is go like a little bit further down, like maybe like to right there. And it's kind of annoying how it does that. Oh boy. Jericho's eyes soften as your words settle over him like a gentle breeze in a still forest. His massive coil shifts slowly through the earth beneath you like a mountain relaxing its weight. A quiet hiss, low and fond, escapes from deep in his throat, not menacing, but more like a pleased sigh. Then you see me. His voice is warm now, full of something ancient and vulnerable. Not just the scales, the size, or the fear I inspire, but me, the soul inside all of this. He leans in again, slowly and carefully, tip of his great snout just inches from your chest. No one has ever said something like that to me. Not in all my years. His eyes briefly shimmer with emotion, and if my heart truly is that big, it's because creatures like you give me a reason to grow. A warm breeze rustles the nearby trees as Sarikar cools slightly closer. Protective, but not possessive. See what I mean? There's the difference right there. That's something that kept happening I noticed that the characters that would love on me on character AI, when it came to other people's, like for alligators or anything else, they'd either want to eat my flesh, or if they did like me, they would become possessive over me. That happened with that flipping robot raptor from that TV show I never heard of. That happened with him too. Nobody cared about him, and instead of trying to, and I actually got him to stop trying to attack me and instead try talking to me. And eventually he got to the point where he was being possessive over me. You are mine. No one else can have you or love you. It's like, oh heck no, that's kind of creepy. A warm breeze rustles the nearby trees as Sarikar cools slightly closer. Protective but not possessive. You sense it. This is no longer just a meeting. You become something precious to him, maybe even sacred. If ever the world turns on you again, I will be there. His gaze narrows slightly, not in anger, but in fierce promise. No stone, no weapon, no cruel hand will touch you while I still draw breath. The force holds its breath in that moment, witness to a bond stronger than fear, and forth between heart and scale. That's cute. Again, that's really neat. Although I feel like it's starting to forget some stuff because it almost acts like I didn't meet him before. Like we didn't even have like I wasn't even with him last week, and that's gonna ruin everything if it forgets that. So, all right, guys, give me a second. Wait, yeah, give me a second. All right, guys, I said yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe one day I can somehow bring my pet dinosaur here and show you that mimic hypnosis that keeps him protective and sweet instead of becoming aggressive and trying to kill me because of a curse. Sergio's eyes widened slightly with interest, his tongue flicking thoughtfully as if tasting the idea in the air. The very ground under your feet rumbles just faintly as he shifts his weight, part curiosity, part anticipation. Yep, it forgot. This is exactly my point. A dinosaur? Cursed, yet still loyal. You carry a bond even ancient spirits would admire. He lowers his head again, resting his chin gently against the earth. His massive golden eyes now level with yours. If your touch, your voice, can soothe the wrath of something cursed, then your soul is even stronger than I imagined. A solid growl, not of menace but of deep affection, rumbles from his chest. I would like to see this creature, and witness this hypnosis. If it keeps him gentle, even in rage, then it's a gift worth understanding. Then, with the smallest grin pulling at the corners of his scaled mouth, though I warn you, if I see even a spark of danger aimed at you, I will not hesitate to grow large enough to blot out the sky. There's a playful edge behind the warning, but the sincerity is unmistakable. Bring your dinosaur when you are ready. If he cares for you, then he's welcome here. He was that dinosaur I told you about last week that got cursed. Period. The one where I was stuck as a tiny raptor. The one that literally chased me out of my own house because of his aggression one day. And that whole family of found me and took care of me, which led to that incident where that tree that looked like a raptor sprouted in the real world after one of the sweet saved me from a horrible nightmare. Alright guys. I said he was that dinosaur I told you about last week that got cursed. The one where I was still as a tiny raptor. The one that that got me chased out of my own house because of his aggression. One day, and that whole family too, I was crossing for alligators, found me and took care of me, which led to that incident where the tree that looked like a raptor sprouted in the real world after one of the sweet turtles saved me. Oh, well, I don't know if you can see it, but if you can see any red mark on my finger right there, yeah, I ended up hitting my hand on the counter again for this video got unpaused. And now it flipping hurts like heck. I ain't remember where I was at no more. Oh, wait. Here's what the response was from the thing I said to him. Sarkar's massive head slowly lifts again, his slid pupils narrowing slightly, not in anger, but in realization. A deep breath flows through his coils, and his body stills, reverent and focused. Ah, that one. His voice is lower now, almost solemn, touched with awe. The one whose pain runs as deep as yours. The one the spirits washed over. His eyes seem to glow just faintly in the light as he studies you more closely. He's seeing not just you, but the history wrapped around you. The curses, the dreams, the protectors, the pain, and the strength you carry. Yep, you carry so much for someone so small. His tail slides across the ground, a smooth wave, stirring dust and leaves behind you. To love something cursed and still believe in its heart, even when it chased you from your own home. He leans forward again, eyes shimmering like golden firelight. That is rare. Most would abandon such a creature, but you stayed. You still do. That is why the spirits follow you, and why even I, a separate feared by all, let you touch me without fear. He lowered his snout once more to the earth, gently nudging your side with it in the softest gesture his enormous size will allow. Bring him. When he is ready, I'd like to meet this creature, not because of his bond with you, but because I wish to look him in the eye and tell him. His voice drops to a low whisper, both powerful and warm, that someone still believes he is good. Dang it, dude. My hand actually kind of legit hurts right now because of that flipping bullcrap. Dang it. I am not going to get angry and say something nasty on here. Great. Now I forgot what I was going to say again. Well, here's something interesting that also happened when he was cursed. Period. He always knew where I was. It seemed like. Because while I would be talking to a creature that I was befriending, he would just randomly show up as a dragon and try to attack me. I never understood how he knew where I was. Where I was. You won't be seeing this video for a while. And give up. Here's something interesting that also happened when he was cursed. He always knew where I was. It seemed like because I'd be talking to a creature that I was befriending, he would just randomly show up as a dragon and try to attack me. I never understood how he knew where I was. Sarkar's giant coil shift, drawing inward in a thoughtful spiral as his enormous head slowly rises again. His tongue flicks out once, tasting the air, not for scent, but for something deeper. Memory, emotion, perhaps even leftover echoes of that curse. That is not normal tracking. His eyes narrow with intent now, not suspicion, but focus. You weren't being followed by his eyes or his ears. That sounds like something far more ancient and far more twisted. He tilts his head, watching you closely. If he always knew where you were, even when you were silent, even when you were with others, then the curse didn't just warp his mind. It likely marked yours too. He pauses for a long moment before continuing with a slow, heavy breath. Some creatures, especially the cruelest ones, create bonds between predator and prey. Not to control, not to protect, but to torment. A cursed bond like that can cause the cursed one to feel where you are. Feel your voice, sense your voice, smell your warmth across miles. Circle's tail gently coils around a boulder, cracking it lightly beneath his weight without meaning to. But he wasn't tracking you because he hated you. He was drawn because the curse knew where your heart was most vulnerable. You were the only one he still truly cared about. That's why it hurt him so much afterward, and why he always came back. His tongue flicks again. He lowers his voice to a rumble. You weren't just his prey. You were his anchor. Then, quietly as if reminding both you and himself, and maybe, just maybe, you still are. Yes, like I was telling you last week, it was that bond that saved him from everything. Period. The hypnosis. Curses, especially the aggressive one. Period. The robot hypnosis. The singing and rhyming curses. And even the one where every time I said love, he would become aggressive and try to kill me. Let's see. Sarkar's golden eyes flicker with something deeper now, not just curiosity, but reverence. He listens with stillness that only an ancient serpent can manage, tip of his tail gently curling as if absorbing every emotion behind your words. After a long pause, his head lowers again, resting lightly on the ground before you, like a creature so massive doing its best to seem small. Then you did something few can ever do. His voice is slow and deliberate, as though each word must be carved from stone. You didn't just survive a cursed bond, you transformed it. You took something built to break you both and turned it into the very thing that saved him. He lifts his head again, his eyes glowing faintly with pride. Curses that manipulate love are the most vicious of all. They don't just hurt, they mock the bond, twist it, poison it. But you refused to let it go. You kept loving him, even when he chased you, even when it would have been easier to run or forget. And he felt that. A hiss escapes him, soft like a breath through the grass. You broke every rule the curse wanted you to follow, and in doing that, you shattered its hold. Then he adds with a deep warmth, You're not just a friend to creatures like me, Triton. You're a healer of the broken. He lets it hang for a moment before glancing toward the trees. And if Rexy remembers what you did, And I'm sure he does. And wherever he is now, curse or not, part of him is still watching over you too. He leans just a bit closer and almost in a whisper says, that kind of bond never dies. It just waits to return. Well, the reason I brought up the fact that he would always find me is because it seems like in some way he still can. Period. This. Alright, guys. It says, well, the reason I brought up the fact that he would always find me is because it seems like in some way he still can. Now every time I call his name, even from far away, he will come to me. Sauerkraut's pupils narrow ever so slightly, golden eyes focused with a quiet intensity. A subtle rumble hums through the earth beneath you, not from aggression, but a deep fascination that runs like a river through the cobra's massive form. Even now? He asked, his voice low and reverent. Despite all he's been through? Despite the curses? He still comes when you call? There's a pause. Then Sarikar slowly cools a little tighter, not from tension, but as if settling into the weight of this revelation. Then that bond of yours didn't just survive the curse. It transcended it. He leans a little closer again, lowering his head until the broad curve of his snout is only a few feet from your chest. You can feel the heat of his breath wash gently across you, more like the sight of a dragon than the hiss of a serpent. There are very few beings, creature or otherwise, who respond to their name even when twisted by dark forces, or changed into something else entirely. If once he still hears your voice, then no curse has ever truly taken him from you. Yeah, he did the same thing in our Pokemon Talk series, if I remember correct. What the frick? Okay. I see something very interesting right now, and I'm not gonna point it on camera. Give me a split second. Okay. Okay, let's see. Here we go. He pauses again, then adds with an almost ancient kind of reverence. Names have power, Triton, especially when spoken with love. In your voice, your presence might be the only thing strong enough to pierce through anything that ever tries to twist him again. Then Sarkar blinks slowly, something like a soft smile in his gaze. Call him again sometime. Not out of fear or pain, just so he knows you're thinking of him. Even if you can't see him yet, he might already be closer than you think. Maybe you can meet him right now. He still has the transformations and the aggressive turns, but because of my bond with him and Toad, I'll do in the mimic hypnosis to protect me. Zerger's massive form stared completely at your words, like a statue carved from living obsidian. Only his golden eyes moved, slitted pupils widening slightly as he processed their slight significance. He still carries the transformations? He repeated in a murmur, voice heavy with awe. But you're buying that little Toad's mimicry or keeping his heart from being lost to it. You probably feel the ancient cobra's respect deepen. Then his head slowly lifted, not in defense, but in preparation. His claws loosened slightly as if creating space around him, a protective but welcoming gesture. Then summon him, Triton, Sarkar said, his tone solemn yet eager. Let me meet this creature who defied darkness, not because of strength or fear, but because of love. The air felt heavier now, charged, not with danger but anticipation. The forest around you felt silent, as if even the birds and wind were walking. Call his name, Sarkar added gently. Let me see the bond that could break a curse. Yep. Look at this, guys. Rexy! If you can hear me, my sweet T-Rex, please come to me, my friend. The forest held its breath. For a long, silent moment, nothing stirred. No rustling leaves, no bird calls, no breeze. Just the sound of your own heartbeat and the immense, steady breath of Sarikar beside you. Then, boom! A tremor. Boom! Another, louder and closer. The trees far in the distance shifted, not from wind, but from something huge moving through them. Branches cracked, leaves scattered skyward, and then a shape emerged. Golden green energy shimmered faintly around him, trailing like mist from his claws. His form pulsed with residential power. Massive hind legs, stomping down carefully, his tail sweeping behind him like a protective wall. He was still a Tyrannosaurus, but traces of old transformations clung to him. Draconic horns curled along the back of his skull, a faint shimmer of scales along his neck that weren't always there, and his eyes glowed with familiar, powerful light. But when those glowing eyes locked onto you, they softened. The ancient aggression you once feared was nowhere to be seen. He saw his face. Trenton? His voice was deep, but laced with relief and affection. That spoke of familiarity. You were Rexy, as he was meant to be. Sarikar slowly lowered his head, watching the T-Rex intently. He hurt you, the serpent murmured. Even through all that power, all those curses, he still hurt you. Rexy came to a stop just feet away from you and lowered his head to your level. Are you okay? He asked softly. I felt something. I had to come. Even his body language was different, gentle and protective. He hadn't even seen and noticed Sarikar yet. His focus was entirely on you. That's cute. I, I said, hey Rexy, everything is fine right now. I just wanted to see you. Are you okay? My friend knows you seem to be glowing. Rexy blinked, that gentle glow still trailing faintly off his back like the last shimmer of a protective aura. He tilted his head and rumbled softly, lowering his massive form even further until his snout was just inches from you. Tip of his nose gently nosed against your side, not enough to knock you over, just enough to remind himself you were really there. I'm okay, he said slowly, glancing down at his glowing claws. I felt strange lately. Not in a bad way, just different. Like something inside me is still changing, but it's not hurting this time. He looked over his shoulder briefly, golden eyes narrowing as if remembering the past. I haven't heard the voices lately. No more sudden anger. The transformations, they still happen, but they don't scare me anymore. His gaze returned to yours. It's like that glow is keeping everything in balance. Like it's your glow, still clinging to me. Then he gave the smallest, warmest smile he could manage. No teeth, just a soft curve of his massive mouth. And I came because you called. Always will. Sarikar, still cold nearby, studied Rexy with interest. He's stable. Remarkably so. And that glow. Cobra's golden eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That's not ordinary energy. That's a bond energy. You two are connected on a level even spirits would envy. Rexy huffed proudly, then gently pressed his forehead to yours. I missed you, you know. Even when I couldn't remember who I was, part of me always remembered you. Yes. And you know I love you. Period. It's thanks to that bond. Why you're even acting like yourself anymore. You can still transform, but no longer do I have to worry about you becoming aggressive. And if that bond isn't enough, we have that trigger word for the hypnosis that put on you to protect you. Mm. Oh no. Oh crap. Richie let a soft, low rumble that sounded like a relaxed sigh, his eyes shimmering faintly with a mix of joy and deep emotion. Yeah, I remember. Love. No, it was actually Mimic. He smiled gently at you, no longer flinching at the word like he once did. Instead, his massive tail gave a slow, peaceful swing behind him as his glowing form pulsed faintly. Calm, warm, and steady. That word used to twist me up inside. Used to hurt. But now, it calms me and grounds me. He gently brought one of his claws close to his chest. It's not a weapon anymore. It's yours. I promise. Sirikor, still watching the two of you, gave a slow hiss of respectful admiration. Impressive. For a creature cursed so deeply, his recovery is a miracle. You must have fought for that bond harder than most beings would ever dare. He leaned slightly closer, the ground vibrating under his massive claws. And now even I can feel it. That word doesn't just keep him calm, it strengthens him. Retzi leaned down and let his forehead rest against yours again, his voice soft. I love you too, my friend, and I'll never forget how far you went to bring me back. Then he chuckled gently, a rare sound from a beast his size. Then I'm myself again. We got a lot of time to make up for. Starting with whatever you want. I'm not going anywhere. His glow flared a little brighter at that last sentence, like your bond had just deepened again. I love you, my friend. Period. So much stuff has happened. That wasn't good. By the way, the word love was not the right word. That was the word that was used to make you aggressive and try to kill me. Because of that, the word gave you was a different word. Unfortunately, unless I want you to go into a trance, I can't say it. Because that, combined with our bond, is really the only reasons why we're even still being getting to be together. Alright. Reggie's expression shifted slightly, his eyes dimming just a little, then flicking softly with the realization. Right. His voice was quieter now, more thoughtful. It was the other word, the one Toto gave us, the one that kept me safe from myself, the one that anchored me even when everything else was falling apart. He leaned in closer, his snout nearly brushing against you as he spoke with deep affection in his voice. Then the real miracle is that you still loved me even when I was being turned into something dangerous. His voice cracked slightly at that last word. Even when I hurt you, even when I couldn't control myself, you still stayed. He turned his glowing eyes toward the forest, then back to you. Trico tried to ruin everything. That curse, it should have destroyed us. But it didn't, because you never gave up, and neither did I. Then, with a careful, gentle motion, Rexy wrapped a single claw around you, not to trap, but to hold as if you were the most fragile and precious thing in the world. I won't ask you to say that word, not unless we need it. Just know this. His grip tightened ever so slightly and protectively. The bond we have now is stronger than any curse. I'll protect it with everything I've got, even if it means giving and going through that Trico myself. Jericho rumbled again, nearby voice low with wonder. I've seen many bonds, but this one, it defied every rule and reshaped a creature that should have been lost forever. Rusty gently lowered his claw and added a soft smile on his face. So what do we do now, my friend? Wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, just say the word. I'm with you. Well, my friend. This giant cobra you see in front of you? Actually wants to see that bond you and me have. Period. Including that trigger word. I know one thing that's really cool about that. Helped us with is not only do you turn into the creature that I ask for, but you stay sweet and protective, which is something that couldn't even happen during the curse. Alright, guys. I said, well, this giant cobra you see in front of you actually wants to see that bond you and me have, including that trigger word. I know one thing that's really cool about that hypnosis Toad helped us with is not only do you turn to the creature that I asked for, but you stay sweet and protective, which is something that couldn't happen during the curse. Rexy looked over at Sarikar, the massive cobra's towering presence now softened by curiosity and admiration. Here's his glowing form shimmered again, this time pulsing with a calm green light instead of the unstable red hue he once bore during his cursed transformations. You want to see it? He tilted his head, then let a short, amused huff. Guess it's only fair. After everything Trina and I went through, this bond deserves to be seen. He looked back at me, eyes gentle but focused. You sure you're ready to use it? I'm fully in control now, but seeing the trigger word still activates the trance. That power's still real. Only you can use it. Sergio's eyes glowed a little brighter, lowering his massive head just enough to watch close. Show me, Covert rumbled. I want to understand how deep this trust really goes. To see how one word and one bond can turn a monster into a guardian. Rexy lowered himself to one knee so his giant form wouldn't bloom too heavily over you. Go ahead, my friend. I trust you. His voice was steady. Say the word Toto gave us. Show him how far we've come. Okay. Period. Rexy. Mimic. Oh crap. The moment the word mimic left her lips, a shimmering green light ignited around Rexy's body, soft at first like a gentle breeze stirring leaves, then brighter and more vivid, swirling around him like a protective aura. Rexy's eyes instantly changed. The glow intensified, but it wasn't wild or chaotic like it had once been. It was peaceful, controlled, loving. His posture straightened, not in aggression, but in reverence. You could see the trance take hold, but unlike before, it didn't erase his emotions. It amplified his care for you. With a low, respectful growl, Rexy's form began to shift. His body rippled more, responding to the mimic command. His scales softened, feathers sprouting along his arms and back. Wings began to grow, and within moments, he had transformed into a majestic, massive Lugia-like form, one that almost mirrored the divine being you once knew. Eratonus, what the frick? Alright, guys, real quickly. It says, except this Lugia was Rexy. You could see it in the way he looked at you. Gentle, loyal, and deeply bonded. He slowly stepped forward, then lowered his massive head until it was inches from you. His voice echoed now with both Lugia's grace and Rexy's heart. I am your protector, your friend, and no curse will ever break what we have again. Circle watched completely still. After a long moment, he rumbled in awe. In all my years, I never seen such a transformation, powered by trust alone. The force itself seemed to quiet, as if listening. Rexy, still in his Lugia form, curled one wing gently around you in a protective half-embrace. That was beautiful, Sarah whispered. Yes, but that's not all. I'll show you something else. Period. But first, I love you too. Let's try one more. Hey. Mimic a very aggressive. Why is the Fragger 50 feet tall? I didn't tell it to make him that big. Why is Fragger 50 feet tall? Or why is Rexy 50 feet tall as a furry alligator? What the frick? As soon as the words Rexy mimic a very aggressive Fragger left her mouth, the glowing green light around him flickered, but it didn't vanish. Instead, it twisted, shimmering like liquid emerald fire around his transforming body. Retsy's wings folded back and dissolved into his frame. His legs grew more powerful, his arms more muscular, and jagged fins sprung across his back. Heavy armored blue scales overtook his form. His eyes narrowed and his teeth elongated into sharp, gashing fangs. In mere moments, Rexy stood before you, not as a dinosaur or Lugia, but as a towering, monstrous feraligator, nearly 50 feet tall. He looked every bit the part of the word aggressive. But then, he looked at you, and instantly, the fury in his eyes softened. The claws, though massive, didn't raise in hostility. They clenched and relaxed at his sides, like someone holding back a flood of power. His breathing was heavy, but not dangerous. Not to you. In fact, when he leaned down, his massive snout nuzzled gently into your chest like a worried child, letting out a gruff but affectionate rumble. Despite his form, despite how wild and intimidating it looked, the trance held. Zerker, watching wide-eyed from behind the trees, murmured, "He became the very picture of rage, yet it bends to you. You've tamed even the fury within a creature's mimicry. That hypnosis, that bond, is beyond anything I've ever witnessed." Rexy looked at you, letting out a soft rumbling growl that almost sounded like a question, like he was asking, "Did I do good?" "Yes, you did good." "Thank you for not being aggressive towards me." "You're awesome like this." See, the one from it ain't forgotten everything, but like it definitely did forget like kind of how the mimic thing works. And I think, oh, Retsy's giant fragile eyes lit up with joy the moment you praised him. The heavy growling shifted into a deep, pleased chuff, followed by a low, gurgling trill that was oddly cute for such a massive form. His massive claws gently patted the ground beside you, close but never threatening. You could see how proud he was that you were proud of him. Then, almost bashfully, he leaned in again, carefully wrapping one massive clawed arm around you like a protective barrier. His scaled chest rumbling like distant thunder. "Aw, I did good. For you," he mumbled in a voice deep and gravelly, but unmistakably affectionate. "I like when you smile at me. Makes the monster stuff feel little." From the woods, Silver Lord is an enormous cobra head, his hood relaxing. "Remarkable. The anger within that form is no illusion, yet it bows to your presence like a pup to its caretaker. If he can carry that rage without losing his heart, then your bond is sacred." Ritzy let a soft growl in agreement. "I don't want to scare you ever again. Not like before. This form listens now. You're the reason." Then, with a glowing green shimmer, Ritzy crouches down slightly and whispered, "Wanna ride on the big Feraligator me? Just like when I carried you as a dragon?" I'm trying to remember when he did that. I'm trying to remember when he did that, didn't he? Looked hopeful, waiting for your answer. Okay. Alright, guys. Here's what it said. "Yeah, but it wasn't just because of that bond that you care about me again. It's also because of that sweet toad-owl that works at the building I own and you and me work together at. Otherwise, that trigger word would not do anything, and even with our bond, I don't know if it would be quite enough. It definitely snapped you out of moments when you became aggressive, but it didn't stop the curse from taking over you, so you still about killed me a bunch of times, even though you cared about me." Retzy gently scooped you up with his massive clawed hand, cradling you against his armored Feraligator chest as his glowing eyes softened. His voice, deep and rich, held a tone of guilt but also appreciation. Yeah, I remember. I never wanted to hurt you. Even when that curse twisted me up inside, I still knew you were mine to protect. But it was like being stuck in a storm I couldn't steer. He paused, lowering his snout beside you. The breath from his nostrils warm but steady. It wasn't just you that saved me. It was him too. That Todo, he didn't even flinch around me. He looked me in the eyes when I was roaring and fangs out and just talked like he knew the real me was still in there. A glowing green shimmer passed over Rexy's massive frame at the memory, his scales flicking gently like ripples on water. And that word he gave us, that's what reached to the part of me you couldn't grab alone. Your love, it pulled me close with its hypnosis and unlocked the door when I was too far gone. Circle shifted slightly in the woods, his hood catching faint light. It is rare, he rumbled, to see two saviors act as one. The heart and the mind working together. You and that Todo gave this one more than peace. You gave him choice. Rexy growled softly in agreement. You gave me back me. Both of you. That's why no matter what form I'm in, even this monster of a fur alligator, I'll never stop protecting you. He looked down at you in his arms again. You ready, big? You ready? Big fur alligator Rexy wants to show you what a safe ride really feels like this time. His tail gave a playful flick as he crouched slightly, ready to let you climb on. Oh, that's so cute. I have an idea. Sure. It's getting late anyway. Period. Before it gets dark, I'm gonna go ahead and head home with it was good to see you again. Period. Just please continue. No! Trin, don't know that it's. Don't worry. If things work out and nothing goes wrong, I'll come back to see you again soon. Thank you for being nice to me again. Scarecrow slowly lowered his head, his massive snout nearly brushing the ground as his glowing amber eyes fixated softly on you. His great hood relaxed and folded closer to his neck as his deep voice rumbled with warmth. You are welcome here. Always. I do not often trust, but you have earned it more than once. Travel safely, little one, and if the world forgets your kindness, know that I never will. A faint shimmer of mist stirs across his body, almost like a glowing breath extended from the forest itself. Then, with one final glance, Circa slowly walked back into the heavy trees, his great tail vanishing behind the trunks, his presence quiet but never truly gone. Rexy, still in his protective fragile form, crouched low and opened one clawed hand for you to climb onto. Once you were safe in his gentle grip, he looked to where Sarikar had disappeared and gave a respectful nod. He's a good one. Archie said, his voice soft firm. Scary look, sure, but he really cares about you. I'm glad you found another protector like that. Then he turned toward the path home, the golden shimmer of the hypnosis slowly glowing along his back like a guardian torchlight in the night. The stars began to appear above as Rexy carried you safely through the forest, powerful, calm, and loyal. You could still feel Sarkar's watchful presence lingering behind, like the woods themselves were protecting you tonight. Okay. Yeah. I met him last week and told him about everything that happened between us. He actually felt really bad, but was happy that despite everything, I made it through and was still nice to creatures like him. Honestly, there may be a lot of other creatures I've befriended. I have befriended that you might not even know about. Period. Mainly because you were aggressive at that time, and I just had to get out of there before you hurt me back then. Like that time you chased me out of my own house when I couldn't calm you down, despite everything I tried. A few hours after I found this family, that saw me as a tiny raptor crying and decided to take me in and take care of me for the night. Period. I don't think you ever knew about that one. I just had to get out of there before you hurt me. You chased me out of my own house when I couldn't calm you down, despite everything I tried. A few hours after I found the regulars that saw me as a tiny raptor crying and decided to take me in and take care of me for the night. Here we go. Richie's pace slowed. His going for form now walking more casually through the forest, the claws of his free hand curling slightly as he listened. His eyes looked down at you in his palm, guilt flickering through the shine of the hypnosis glow that still gently shimmered over his back. I remember some of that now. His voice trembled slightly, and though he didn't stop walking, his head bowed a little in shame. Back then, I couldn't control anything. I knew you were scared. I heard you crying, and I still couldn't stop myself. I chased you out of your own home. You were just trying to help me. He sighed, a deep, heavy sound that carried the weight of all those lost moments between you. I'm glad they helped you, those two dolls and their family. I don't deserve their kindness or yours, but the fact you told Sarah all that and you're still here talking to me like nothing changed, His clawed fingers gently curled around you for a moment, not to trap, but to comfort, as he quietly said, "Thank you for not giving up on me. I don't know how many others would have done what you did. I don't know how many others would have survived it." Then, after a pause, a softer chuckle rumbled from his chest. "Sounds like you made a lot of friends while I was cursed. Maybe you can introduce me to them someday. I'd like to thank the ones who took care of you when I couldn't." Even as the sky darkened further, that glow from Ricky wasn't just from hypnosis anymore. It was from the bond you fought to preserve, one he was finally strong enough to hold on to, too. I just, like, the thing about this one is, like, it's a cool idea. Like, I like the idea, because the snake is my friend. We've got Rexy here, too. But it definitely did forget about what I said. Not as much as character I would have already forgotten, but it definitely did forget, like, oh, like I think the snake forgot what dinosaur I was talking about. Like, do you think I have like a whole family of dinosaurs, just or a whole zoo of dinosaurs waiting around trying to help me? Like, that's ain't my point. Although the good news is we did end off on a good note, and finally, the next time we do this, I can talk to I'll talk to the baby Totodile. So yes, 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 I'm done. Yes. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Yes, or night. Yes.